Intro?
Intro. Welcome back. Hello, everybody. This is Bex's.
Hello.
I forgot what she named the first one, but it was something amazing. Let's get it going.
All right. So we left off talking about culture and society changing human nature. So our next question is about the human mind and our perceptions of reality. So the human brain, we can only access about 10% of our full capacity. So is what we perceive reality or just a construct of our mind? Can our minds correctly interpret reality, or is it subjective? All right.
My brain's getting its pants.
Um, I would like to say, on one hand, I believe that I can't remember exactly like how you worded the question, but from my perception of it, I think that we do create, we can create our realities. I kind of studied the law of attraction or whatever, so we can create our own individual realities, and then we perceive, I guess, the outer reality. That makes sense. So I do believe it is based off of our minds. And can you kind of repeat the question so I can kind of
Is what we perceive reality or just a construct of our mind? Can our minds correctly interpret reality, or is reality subjective?
Yeah. So yeah, I do believe that our minds, we do create reality. I do believe that like I said, I studied the law of attraction, so it's like every thought that we think reflects into our reality. So a lot of the things that we experience are based off of our thoughts and our attitudes and our emotions and things of that nature. So
All right.
I'm not so
I
sure.
agree.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Benny. Sorry.
Right. Uh,
Oh, I
let's
just
let me
wanted
go ahead. Go ahead, Minnie.
I just wanted to say I agree. That's all I was saying basically. Is cuz I really don't really know how to answer that question, but I totally agree with her because like we do create our own reality. We don't really we really have a hard time accepting what the real reality is, so we tend to create our own reality. Is basically what I'm going to say.
All right. Thank you. Kipper.
I think the reality that we create is just an escape from the reality most of us wouldn't want to face. And also, I really don't think it'd be like a fair question for somebody with like a schizophrenic disorder or something along those natures, because I feel like reality to them would be almost morphed in a sense. I feel like a lot of the time everything around them could just be a construct of their own mind. But that's all I have to say on this topic.
I kind of agree but disagree with that. I feel as if like we're the universe and like reality is a product of all the hive minds projecting what we perceive to be reality. Of course, the human hive mind, and then I feel like also the animalistic hive mind, and also plants and nature itself, and in the universe. Because I feel like the universe and the planet that we live on are connected, but are two different kind of mindsets. You feel me?
yes, because you have your own consciousness and then you have the collective consciousness, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Believe that what I personally believe is I don't believe that we're capable mentally of grasping what reality is. I think that what reality is to us is what we can handle, right? Because I mean, okay, so think about it. The reality is that everybody has their own life, right? You're in your car, you're driving, right? The person that pulls out in front of you, like they have like a whole life of their own. Like they like this guy could be going home to like his wife and kids, or being like financial like struggle, or dealing with some hardship, or I mean, there's reality is so vast, and only being able to use do you think dolphins understand what reality is? For example, anyone?
Dolphins are
I
smart.
feel like, yeah, and I guess their reality is based off of their own environment and their own,
I feel like they better understand than we do.
Did you know that they say that? Yeah, but did you know that they say that dolphins use more of their brain capacity than we do? So if we can't expect like an animal to understand reality, how could we ever say that we do? Like, yes, we have different knowledge than them, and in ways we are way more advanced than them. Well, in a lot of ways, but you get my point. But like, if they're able to use more of their brain and still not have the slightest clue, what's to say that we do? And I mean, there's an entire universe out there. There's a couple billion stars, and for each star, it said that there's another galaxy for that star.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how could we ever say that we really know anything? We know what we believe we learn, right?
Say, like, that's why there's this. Oh, sorry. No, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, it's all right. I was just going to say, like, we're taught that, like, 1 + 1 = 2. But what is 2? What is 1? It's something that we were taught, but someone created it. So how is it something that's actually real, if that makes sense? You see what I'm saying?
Geometry.
Mm-hmm.
Something that someone forever ago created. Like, yeah, it's more than this thing. But, like, do you understand where I'm going with this?
Heck yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's like we're basically living in someone else's reality that we have taken on as our own, in a sense. When you think of it collectively, that makes sense.
Because you ever just look in a
Because
mirror
we're living in this
and just sit there and be like, damn, we up in this bitch,
That's the funny thing too. When you look in a mirror, you're not seeing you. Because what you are is a brain. Like, you are not the body that you have. You're a brain. So when you're looking at you, you're not looking at you. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Sometimes,
like, if you look.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm about to say you're perceiving the perception that other people perceive of you.
Go ahead, Kia.
No, I was just gonna say, if you look long enough in the mirror, you start to become into like this weird state of like, how do I explain it? Like, wow, like I'm really
euphoria.
Not this. Yeah, it's like I'm not this person that I'm looking at, but it's like I am. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but
Sorry.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have
basically what you just said?
What about you, Kim?
Sorry.
You're fine.
Anyone else want to add anything before we move to the next question?
I'm a hard pass.
Pass?
Pass.
All right, next question it is. I just said something, gosh.
I will take
okay.
Liberty Barnes for 500.
Okay. So I'm gonna give you a definition real quick, and then a couple examples of tribalism before we get into this question. Tribalism is kind of like separating like us from them, right? So if you like talking about like cliche, like high school cliques, right? The athletes, and the geeks or the drama kids, or like the country kids, like what I'm talking about, like separating like into groups. Like almost like in a way like self-segregation to an extent, if that makes sense. Like separating like us from them. Like, oh no, like we didn't do it. It must have been them. Like us separating each other. Do you believe that tribalism is a learned or genetic trait?
I believe it's nature.
Okay, go ahead.
I believe it. I believe it's learned. Because let's just say, if we all learn that we are all one, if we were all taught that we were all one, then that is how we would live. So I do believe it is a learned thing because, I mean, it could go either way. I don't know. It could be a learned thing or it could just be nature, but I guess I feel like it's learned because a child, if you look at a child, they pretty much don't think about things like trying to be in cliques and things like that. They're just free to be. So,
I agree.
yeah.
I'm
All
about to
right.
piggyback off what Nakia said there, because, like, say, for instance, it was your own child. That child is essentially anything you say to it and anything you teach it as a parent is 9 times out of 10 exactly what that kid's going to believe for as long as until he develops his own beliefs.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But that's nature, though.
I agree with you too, so I don't have anything to add.
All right.
I don't know. I kind of disagree with all that because that's nature then. Because even animals do it. We all segregate in some form or fashion into some kind of clique or group. We love to be identified and individualized into some kind of section that makes us a bigger part of the whole, but still smaller. Just like at the feeding hole, when everyone goes get some water for, animals at least, they're all divided up into those sections when they get that water. They're not all, spaced out. There's some zebras over here and there's some lions over here. No, there's a pack of lions over there. There's a pack of zebras over there. There's a pack of gazelles over there. They're all divided out into their same packs because they feel safety in numbers. And on top of that, they feel safe with their own people. I know, like, I'm not for racism or anything, but I don't know. Even when I did go to school, eventually I did just amazingly gravitate towards the other black people there. It just felt safer in the kind of situations that I'd be getting into.
I feel like a rainbow, so I just go with anybody in a way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like you blend very well.
yeah, basically
What if you just prefer to be a loner, though? Then there's no really
that part.
particular, yeah.
That's still
That's
tribalism because you're
tribal, yeah.
separating like I from they.
You're
True,
like a
true.
pack leader that just haven't found a pack yet. Because even the loner is going to eventually find a group that they're like, alright, I fucks with it.
I
Yeah.
believe that I don't believe it to be necessarily genetic because keep in mind we're not talking about like animals per se, we're talking about humans. Like this discussion is human nature,
For sure.
and I believe like look at royalty, it's something that like they're taught, like, okay, you're my son, you're better than everyone else, blah 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 blah, like the royal we, if you've heard of that. And I think it's something that learned because I mean like that we learned because the very first like generation of like humanoid people to an extent, like they didn't really separate themselves, they all stuck together. No one was royalty. That wasn't a thing. Like this, I'm talking about like before, like we like really had tools and stuff like that. Like when we were like just evolving. I know evolution's a very big discussion, which we don't have to cover in this one. But I'm like speaking in theory. Like before we had like tools and all the things that we had as we evolved as humans. It was okay. I gave birth to this. This is gonna live with me forever until I die, and it's gonna continue to like help take care of things and do these things that I also have to do. It wasn't something like back then, like you didn't really split up. I mean, there were obviously safety hazards because of that. But I mean, royalty wasn't a thing then. Religion wasn't really a thing then. So how would we know to separate ourselves, and for what reason would we do it? I mean, there wasn't really any morals or anything that would like ethically put you above or below anyone else.
Well,
Does
fear
that
of
make
the
sense?
unknown, though.
Fear
of the unknown would probably cause us to separate and shy away from those other groups of people. Because even though, like you had said, in the beginning, we didn't really go out there and separate from the group, but still, there were groups and there were tribes. Still the same mentality we're speaking of.
Well, yeah, but I think to an extent, partially that would be due to, for instance, like people in like other countries and on other continents. Like, yeah, they would be separated due to a lot of reasons, but like, I mean, you've read books, you were taught this in school. Like, there were large cities and like groups, and people would like hut together and do all of these things.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that I believe that it's something that was learned. I don't believe that people would purposely like divide themselves so early on. I think it's something that we learned to like as greed became a factor in human nature. When greed became a factor, then it was like, okay, if I make everyone think that I'm better than this person, then I get more, or I have more power over these people, and I don't have to do this because I can have this person do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think it took a long time for us to get there, but now we're so set in our ways. I think it would be nearly impossible for us to be able to revert back to the kind of community that we had hundreds of years ago when we were first starting out. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it's almost.
I think everyone has a good point.
Agree. Are we ready for the next question?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So, while we're still on the topic of tribalism, I'd like to ask in groups and out groups, like what's popular and what's not, i.e., religion, race, sports team fans, people with hobbies, stuff like that, right? In what ways does tribalism help and hurt society? Go ahead, Kipper.
I feel like it hurts us because we're all kind of separating and becoming less and less together as one, and we're all getting we all have different beliefs, which is a good thing, but at the same time it's kind of, I'd say in a sense, destroying us because we're gravitating away from each other and onto things that aren't really as necessary as loving one another, your neighbor, no matter who they are, no matter the color of their skin or who they are or what they spend their time doing. We're all gravitating away from that, and it becomes stronger and stronger every day.
All right, go ahead, Leah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think it. Sorry, I just kind of lost my train of thought. But I think that it's bad because I feel like it kind of makes us lose our sense of like oneness, our sense of like all, if that makes sense. I don't think it's healthy for us to kind of separate ourselves. Like we see it happening all the time, separating ourselves because of race, our beliefs, our like what we preference, things like that. I don't think that, and then we find ourselves competing with one another because of it. I think, and it's just not healthy for us as human beings. I believe that if we could do this and still be able to love one another and still be able to get along and not, be against one another because of these differences, then it would be fine. But because it causes so much hate and confusion, I don't believe that it is, if that makes sense.
Personally, I
I
feel
like
the
that.
opposite again.
Um,
I was gonna say, I feel like
I was.
yes, Minnie.
I thought y'all didn't see me because I did that like 2 times, but
Sorry.
I was gonna agree with Kipper because, like, for example, when we tend to separate into different groups, like we leave out the people that have full potential and have something to offer and bring to the table. And not even just that, I just think it would be so much better if we did work together as one for, everything or different things or however you want to put it. Because, I mean, either way, I know we all have different personalities, different things that we bring to the table, different beliefs, things like that. But I feel like it would just be way much better if everybody would just stay as one.
Right. Thank you. Merlin?
Kind of. I feel like the sentiment and where you're coming from, But personally, my beliefs are tribalism is great for countries, is great for the economy, is great for most things in life. In all honesty, when you break it down, these groups that are being made are usually people of like minds, people that are streaming towards the same goal. When it's a oneness mindset, it's called social loft or social slide. It's like if a bunch of crowded people are there and like someone has a heart attack, no one's calling the police, and I can promise you that because everyone in that crowd thinks, oh well, someone already called the police, and they're gonna start walking away because they're gonna be like, dang, well it's kind of awkward that I'm just standing here. Then that man's having a heart attack with no one calling the police. Someone has to take that initiative, and if you choose the right people in your tribe and in your group, then the person that's taking that initiative because that person's already selected. That person's already there. That person already knows who the emergency contacts is, how to get to them, and how to be there. On top of that, not everyone wants the same goals for sure. But when you divide into the right tribe that wants the same goals as you, everyone's going to work as hard. But if we're all working as one individual, as one group together, then we have to make up for the slack of other individuals. And it happens in the workplace all the time. We can all say we're a whole. We can all say we're a team. That's what the manager says at least. But if I'm carrying the team, I don't feel like much of a team when I'm working and someone else is socially slacking and getting on the phone. So with that being said, I'd rather
Yeah,
be a better
I feel.
team than, be one as like a shitty team. I'd rather be a tribe,
If
Someone that's always ready to
if
go
you
to
put
the
it
Yeah.
if you put it that way, yeah.
But if we were all able to, still love one another in our, differences, and like I said, I think that would help a lot, because sometimes we go, tit for tat because of our differences and things, or because whatever tribe we choose to, like religion, for instance, one religion believes that they're the only one true religion, and then the next believes that they are, and it's like, well, can't we just all come to a common ground? I think that's where it kind of, you know, makes me kind of like not like it. If that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Is everyone ready to move on to the next question?
Sharks, dude.
Yeah. Wait, did you answer?
Yeah, you're trying to skip, huh?
Didn't even say
Well, no, I
pass.
just
Wow.
figured, I figure my answers are very long sometimes, so I try to.
Lay it on us.
I believe it's helpful in the way that it makes us feel safe. It makes us feel comfortable. If you had to choose between, being around every single person, say that you're in like a really, really big like auditorium, right? And even if every single person in there has the exact same beliefs as you, which is not likely, but say for instance that they do, right? Are you going to spend your time and feel comfortable around all of these strangers, or the 5 people you came with that you've known? You're
Myself.
going
I
to
think the
gravitate
5 people. Yeah.
you're going to gravitate towards the people that you know. So I think it's good in the sense that it brings community, and it makes us feel comfortable, and it gives us that sense of safety and awareness where we're not like constantly looking over our shoulders and stuff like that. I think it's good, but again, I do believe that it's hurtful because we miss so many opportunities. We miss so many opportunities when we separate ourselves. Like, yes, sometimes it is for our own good and it is right to do it. You know, if it's going to impede upon your safety or your well-being or what you're comfortable with, then I absolutely support separating yourself from other people to do what you have to do. Because I am all about self-preservation. I genuinely am. But it does hurt us when you think of all the opportunities that you're missing, you know? So that's kind of where I stand on it. Like, it does have its benefits, but it has just as many downfalls to it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is everyone ready for the next question?
Heck yeah.
Yes.
All right. Is suffering a necessary part of the human condition?
Yes.
All right, go ahead, Minnie.
I'm going to say, in a way, yes, because it's a natural thing. It's not something we can just be like, oh, yeah, today I'm not going to deal with this and that. But I think it's just something that's natural and just comes, like I said, naturally. So I'm going to go with yes.
All right, go ahead.
I would like to say, like, I guess yes and no. And I'm kind of gonna like go from like a religious perspective because, like, personally, religion and Christianity tells you like you suffer and you go through things for your growth, for your own personal growth. So, in a sense, like I feel like it can be a beneficial part of our human, um, what is it, ascension, you know, to help us to experience things and go through things. If that's what you're asking, that's kind of what I perceive from what you're asking. But it can, and then in another sense, I think it kind of is based off of the individual person and how they deal with things in life. Because what may cause one person to suffer may not cause the next person to suffer. So I guess it just kind of depends.
I agree.
Very true.
Kipper?
I feel like whoever, or if you believe this at all, whoever in your mind is your higher power, I feel like they're putting you through this as a test to see what you can handle and where you're going to go from here, from this life, and where you'll be sent to next, and what hardships, what goals, and what things he or she's going to want you to accomplish next. And it's my 2 cents on it.
I could agree with that too.
Marla?
I've told Kipper this a billion times, and I tell all my friends this these days. But you gotta reach these low peaks in life to reach the higher heights that you're gonna reach. And I feel as if it's worth it, because if you don't know how low it can get, how do you know how high it can get? How do you know how much better it can be until you know how bad it is?
I love that.
Yeah. It's dope.
Preach, brother.
I believe. Would you agree with me if I said that emotions are part of what make us human?
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone's in agreement with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Suffering and pain go hand in hand. You experience pain when you're suffering. I don't think well, obviously I don't think that we should have to suffer. It's inevitable. And the pain that we get from it, it teaches us. Kind of like almost like when you're a kid and you touch something hot, even when someone tells you not to and then it's going to hurt you, like you don't know, like you have to do it and you have to learn for yourself, like, okay, this was true. Don't touch a hot stove. Like, I believe that we learn from pain. I think pain is one of one of many things that teaches us. Like I've experienced a lot of pain in my life, and I like to think of myself as an intelligent young woman, and it's because of experiences and suffering and pain that I've dealt with that I've learned from. It helped me, like you guys said, to grow, but it's also something that made me human. Because we can't be human without emotions.
Very true.
I'm gonna agree because I think that's how I got a lot of my knowledge and intelligence is through pain because there's a lesson with everything.
No pain, no gain, right?
Yep.
Is everyone ready for the next question?
Yeah.
Heck yeah. We do have to be wrapping it up, so if I'm not mistaken, that should be the second to last question.
Yes, because I'm yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so do we have an obligation to help others, or is it their responsibility to help themselves? Go ahead.
I would like to say we don't have an obligation to help others. I do believe it is like from a spiritual viewpoint, I believe that it is good to help others. But I feel like if you help someone so much and then they start to pretty much, like you help someone so much to the point where they're not helping themselves, that's where it becomes an issue.
Enabling.
Because we have to help ourselves. We have to do for ourselves. So we can't be 100% dependent on someone else. And we don't want anyone to drain all of our energy, tugging from us all the time and they aren't doing anything to help themselves.
I'm gonna say I agree because what I was gonna say is I was gonna go with that saying, if you don't help yourself, nobody's gonna want to help you. So again, I don't feel like we're obligated to help people. But in a way it'll be good. But then also people don't help their self in a way sometimes. People that can actually, help their self, but they just don't want to. And they just want people to do everything for them. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Kipper.
We're 100% definitely not obligated to help other people. And at the end of the day, your main focus is yourself and trying to see that you can make it through the day and you can accomplish the goals that you have in mind. But at the same time, I feel morally obligated to help people who are lost. Like, I always step out of my way to try and help to the best of my abilities, even if it's interfering with my own personal growth, because I don't know why I just can't let that stuff kind of slip away. I know I'm not obligated to, but it almost helps me to help other people, if that makes sense.
I agree with Kyle. Kipper.
I feel like something.
Agree.
Marlon, did you have something you wanted to add to that?
No, I totally agree with Kipper. Kipper knows me and how I am about things, but unfortunately, after years of parenting, you gotta give up stuff like that. You gotta try to look out for what's best for the kids and stuff like that, because looking out for a friend versus looking out for my daughters, I gotta look out for what's best for them. But I do totally get where Kipper's coming from. That's how I used to be, totally, up until the point where I've been just sitting there wondering how I got myself into that situation when it was me that got myself in that situation.
I believe that it's definitely imposed on us very young that we should help others and that we should go out of our way to help others. And even a lot of media nowadays tells us we need to be helping others and all that, which I believe a lot of the reason people do it outside of it's something that they want to do is because they know how it'll look if they don't. I think people are more worried about what refusing to help someone will look like than what going out of your way to help someone would look like. I think it's scarier for a lot of people to, have others know that they're refusing to help than to put themselves behind and like have to put themselves like 2 steps back just to put someone else 1 step ahead. I think people do it because they're worried about what society might think of them. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Which is unfortunate because it's like
Agree.
you shouldn't take that into account when, trying to help people out, or even worse, just trying to be a bright light in someone's life, just trying to help, uplift somebody.
Yeah. All right. Last and final question of the night. This one's not really open discussion. This is just personal for each one of us. What is holding you back from being the person you want to be? All right, Minnie?
I feel like the environment, and then also not crossing boundaries that I might have a fear of, but I mean I'm doing better at that. But I mean, I guess when you try to get yourself used to what you already know, you tend to get stuck in the same place. And I think that's my issue. But, I'm definitely starting to move forward. And I think it's very hard to just say, oh, yeah, it's okay. You should just do this. You should do that and this. But I think like we all move in our own pace.
All right. Yes, Nagia.
I was gonna say fear. And that could really be fear, like of anything. Like, I deal with social anxiety and just overall anxiety. So sometimes, just the fear of stepping out of my shell, stepping out of my comfort zone. I kind of like, I have a lot of things that I desire to do in life, but fear has been keeping me from doing them. Like, maybe like going and performing or like doing something like in social settings and things like that. And just the fear of, I think one main big thing is fear of what other people think of me. And also just another thing, also like putting others before myself, it's another thing that has held me back in the past. And yeah, so I guess the main thing would be fear.
All right. Kipper?
I'm gonna piggyback just a little bit here. Definitely fear. Fear of trying new things. Fear of the blowback from the decision of what I wanted, what I'm going to make, that of something I want to do, and fear of how that could end up. Definitely, I think bad decisions I made when I was a lot younger and a lot more dumb are holding me back. The consequences of that now, and that's all I got to input on that one.
Right, Merlin?
Well, personally, what's holding me back, I guess I'd have to say my handler and comfortability. I have to say, being comfortable always gets me in the weird positions in life where I'm sitting there like, I've been at a job for a year. Like, what? And I still haven't got that 20-cent raise? Like, come on, dog. Then I go yell at a manager for 5 seconds thinking, yo, can I please get that raise? And they're like, whoa, you want to lose this job? But I'm too comfortable not to realize, yo, I'm an amazing employee. Anybody will hire me. Forget your job. Someone's going to pay me what I want to get paid, So I stay in a comfortable situation a little bit too long and end up missing chances I could have had.
For me, I think a lot of the reasons that I didn't do things for a really long time, which I am genuinely improving on more and more each day, is lack of trust. I lack trust in a lot of people and a lot of things, and it's something that I'm working to better myself on. but it's definitely held me back in the past. You know, friends, I didn't trust people. So, like, when people wanted to be my friends and be there for me when I was going through a hard time and stuff like that, I would completely reject it because I didn't feel I could trust them.
I agree on that.
I like that. And if I may speak on a little something Merlin just said there, the comfortability, that's something my dad always told me is the second you start to feel comfortable, something's going to go wrong. And something's going to bite you in the ass. And I wish I listened to that sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really
So
simple.
that was our final question.
Heck yeah. I was about to say it's really just some information that changed my life, but that is our final question. And I appreciate all the guests for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely.
Also, let me see that cat. I saw the cat.
Oh, he was trying to get all up in the camera.
What a beautiful cat.
Is this going into
Thank you.
what we talked about last night?
Yeah.
Huh?